Hi everyone, and I welcome April. She is a designer, maker, and director of April Dace Jewellery. And would you like to tell us more about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I work at the moment just working from home in my workshop. I make bespoke jewellery. I'm based in Norfolk, so I do a lot of design for clients who want maybe something remodelled or something special for a birthday or a special occasion. But I also have my own collection, my own shop on my website, and I've just recently sort of started really going into it January last year, setting up my website and everything. So we're just sort of going forwards in that direction at the moment.
Yeah. So how did you get into it? At what age did you start? Or yeah.
Well, I've always been really creative. I've always been sort of hands-on, wanting to make things. I remember in college I started by making little button earrings and selling them to friends, which is kind of where I got the bug, I guess. And then I did a foundation degree in art and design and explored a few different mediums. And it was my tutor there that kind of noticed that I had more of this inclination towards kind of body adornment. And she suggested a jewellery degree, and that's sort of where I went into university, and I did a 4-year degree at Middlesex University in jewellery design, and then it's kind of gone from there really. I've had a couple of more practical jobs in jewellery workshops, and then I've slowly kind of ventured out, and I want to eventually be my own boss, which is where I'm going now.
So cool. How easy was it to get in after university, especially? How easy was it to get into that sort of route?
It was, for me, it wasn't too hard actually, because although there aren't many jobs in that industry of sort of jewellery design, where I am in Norfolk, I think there's quite a lot of opportunities in London where I studied, but I wanted to be back home for a few years, and there wasn't that many opportunities kind of advertised. So I wrote quite a few emails and letters to local jewellers, and I got one response back from a jewellers in Dis, and I started really in the sales in the shop. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door there, and then I slowly progressed up into the workshop, which is where I really wanted to be. But it was a slow journey, but on reflection it was a good kind of a good step into that industry, I guess.
So going back to when you started, did you have any anxieties, especially when you first started making jewelry? What were your feelings, anxieties, especially as a creative, just starting out in the world? And
I mean, I guess being in uni and then going into the real world, there always are some sort of initial anxieties about, especially when I was looking for jobs, there was always that anxiety of, am I going to be able to kind of get there with sort of getting a job in what I wanted to do. But as soon as I got that job, it was all kind of just excitement, really, I guess. And then I started thinking more about wanting to do my own thing, and that's sort of where the anxiety really kind of stepped in, I guess. And trying to venture out on your own is a big new thing, really, isn't it? And it's scary, but it's also exciting. But yeah.
So as you mentioned, you want to go freelance. What are your thoughts and worries about this?
So I guess the thought is that I want to be my own boss and have my own direction, and I want to be successful in that and being able to bring what I think I've got creatively to other people. And sort of working for other people has kind of taught me that. I've gained a lot of experience in the jobs that I have had, but I feel like there's always been this thing inside me that I just want to get out there and do my own thing. And there's kind of anxieties related to that in its own way, I guess. What if it doesn't work? And also leaving the stability of a paid job,
Mm.
then having to go in to kind of looking after your own finances and making sure that you can actually pay the bills, I guess.
Yeah.
that's probably the main anxiety at the moment, but I'm trying everything I can to get towards that goal of being able to take the leap and feel comfortable in doing it.
Yeah, because thinking about freelancer, especially after myself going into the world of like right now, it's quite comfortable as a student, and then when you get out into the real world, I'm not sure what I want to go and where to go with, especially with freelance. But it's like freelance, I feel like is so exciting but so scary. Like, how do
Yeah,
you start?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, like have you like started, or are you just in the beginning, or like yeah?
I feel like with every I sort of reflect back every now and then on things that I've done. So for instance, I might have a scroll through my phone at some of the pictures, or on my Instagram at some of the photos that I've got on there, and I just sit back sometimes and think, wow, actually I have come quite far. And it's easy to forget that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But just having that moment of reflection can really reassure direction.
Yeah.
But I mean, I started properly, really seriously thinking about this probably last January. So it's been pretty much a year now where
Yeah.
I've been bit by bit just slowly kind of doing little steps to get to the goal that I want to be. And I think now it's feeling like it's getting really close to the time when I can just say, let's do this.
That's, that's
And I suppose you get anxiety about, you sort of make excuses in your own head about not doing it yet or not quite getting there.
that's very
But yeah, I think at the moment it's getting to the point where I think I know this is what I want to do, and it will make me so happy to do it that you have to kind of take that leap and just go for it.
yeah.
So, yeah, and I've been doing it back goals wise and strategy and how to get to that goal, and like little steps you can take to get there, and then also looking at the finance side of things and how can you reach that ultimate goal of being able to pay your bills and live sustainably. And that's kind of helped a lot, make me feel a bit more comfortable about how I'm going to get to that point. So I think that's why I feel better about it at the moment, because I feel like I've got a bit of a clear idea in my head of how it's going to be when I make that decision. Does that make sense?
Because I guess it's like many people, when they hear the word freelance, they don't exactly know how serious things are when you don't make that bit of money to pay the bills and pay for anything. It's like it just, for some people, it just kind of like just goes over the head. They don't know how the risks, especially creatives, put themselves in to have their own business and be able to do what they want to do. It's like something that they've created. It's like their thing. People don't realize how much risk it is, and that I feel like we just don't get enough credit for things like that. So yeah,
That's why it's taken me so long to get to this point, because I feel like I've done a lot of research on it, and there's always been something pulling me back from
yeah,
taking the leap. And I really feel like within myself, I'll feel like when it's the right time. And it hasn't felt like it so far, but as I say, I think I'm getting there. It's kind of like you just have to build your foundations first before you can really say, yep, this is definitely the right time to do it now. Because I think if you go too soon, and maybe you haven't quite done enough research, or haven't got a bit of a plan in place, that might be where, because if you do that and then you end up sort of straddling along a little bit and not being able to kind of make that money and make those sales, then that's maybe when your confidence is going to go, and then you're going to be back to where you were when you first sort of started. So I think for me, it was kind of making sure I had those plans in place to make me feel more comfortable and less anxious about doing it.
Yeah, and it's really good that you're taking those little steps to get where you want to, and I hope, like, you know, soon it will
Yeah.
feel right. And so when you're making jewelry, do you worry about clients if they love it, because they put a lot of trust in you, like, you know, in our messages, you said.
That's it, definitely. I was thinking about trust earlier, actually, and I think there's a few different levels of trust in what I do. So there's one particular client who's had a few things made with me fairly recently, and she's great. She comes to me with something. This is what I'd like, April, and I come back to her with a couple of drawings, different designs, and she just says, "Yep, I completely trust you. Go for it," which is really nice because you kind of get that creative license just to go for it.
Builds your confidence up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sort of I get in this flow of like, this is organic, it's nice, I'm kind of creating something. I've always got what she would like in the back of my mind. And I'm thinking about her, but because she's given me that creative license, it feels a bit more relaxed. But then I suppose at the end of it, when it's finished, is when you kind of get those little anxieties of, oh my goodness, is it going to meet kind of her expectations as well? Because I've always got a vision in my head of what to look like, and I always think, oh, are they going to be sort of on the same wavelength, I suppose. And then the other level of trust is when you've perhaps got a client that would like to be a bit more involved in the design, which is a nice thing as well, but that would give me kind of more anxiety surrounding, you know, it's got to be a particular way. I've got to make sure it's how they've got in their head, which can be a little bit more stressful. But it's amazing when they get it and they're absolutely over the moon with it. So it's kind of like this little fleeting moment of, you know, a bit of panic, but then, you know, it's extremely rewarding at the end of it. So
I bet it's an amazing feeling. And like what you do is like I've never heard or been able to talk to anyone like you, and you know, for me this is really exciting because not only do you have to have like the amazing skills of what you do to make the jewelry, but also like literally get inside the client's mind and you know, imagine what they want and actually create it. So
yeah,
you know, it sounds like you have the perfect skills for that, because when they do see it, they're like, oh my god, this is like what I've imagined.
I think that's as well sometimes. And I look at the old photos and I think, sometimes I look at it and I think, how did I do that?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you look at it and you're like, how did I even do that? And it is, that is the biggest thing about what I do, is that reward at the end for both myself and the client, that they absolutely love what I've done, and it's a piece of me and it's a piece of them as well. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Have you had any negativity from clients?
I think, I wouldn't say it's negativity, maybe sort of misunderstanding, I suppose. Or the thing I come across a lot is maybe misunderstanding and maybe not enough education on jewelry, perhaps. Or maybe they've been misled by sort of online jewelers or high street jewelers, and I'm talking about maybe, for example, I try and educate people a little more about metals and stones, and kind of on that quality side of things, whereas in the industry they may hear things or see things that, for example, I might quote on a diamond price for something, and it might be a lot higher than what they have seen online. So I try and educate them as to why that might be a little bit more, and I'm always kind of constantly battling this kind of like online, this accessibility that people have to the internet and reading things online and maybe misunderstanding things. So I kind of battle with that a little bit, and a lot of sort of mass-produced jewelry as well is made abroad. It may not be as high quality. It's, you know, it's mass-produced, so you don't get that you know, it's sort of cheaply made, I suppose. So I'm always battling that and trying to educate people as to why my pieces might be different to something you've seen online. That's not always the case. A lot of people appreciate quality, but yeah, I suppose that would probably be. I don't think I've ever had anything negative, but maybe a bit of what do I say? Yeah, just trying to battle that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we come to the end of the podcast. So yeah, we'll just say bye and I'll stop recording.
Really?
Bye.
See you later. Thank you.